Good evening, everyone. Sorry for being late. I'd like to call the Village of Holly's Planning Commission meeting for May 28, 2025 to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Campbell,
Here.
Christian, Lacey,
Here.
Koskela,
Here.
Cross, Wallace. Here. Everly. Here. Kinnaman.
Here.
Okonski.
Here. Has anybody heard from the two that are missing? No, sir. All right, I guess as of right now, let's just give a few minutes for being late. Otherwise, we'll just mark them as being absent. Could we move on to approval of the agenda as written?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, so moved. Approval of the minutes from February 26th, 2025.
I did see one clerical error that's in here. It's just a spelling error. On the second page, number 2, under new business, the second paragraph, it says "the was a discussion." I think it's supposed to be "there was a discussion," just to point that out, just to make sure that it's,
Okay,
other than that, I didn't see anything.
would you like to make a motion as so amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 28th as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. All right, moving on to the statement of purpose. Get a volunteer to read this for us, please.
I'll do it. Are you sure?
Thank you.
Sure, sorry. Statement of purpose. The mission of the Holly Village government is to enhance our community's quality of life. Our organization strives for quality services, responsive action to citizen requests, and a cost-effective government. We promote citizen participation, proactive decision-making, and environmental quality. Most important, we shall always serve the citizens of Holly. The Village of Holly will be a prestigious, historical village that is a green residential oasis from the city and the center of commerce and activity for the region.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to public comments. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak before us on anything that is not on the agenda, please do so at this time. Come to the microphone, state your name and address, please.
Only things not on the agenda.
Correct.
No, it's for items on the agenda.
Pardon me?
Under number 6, it says items on the agenda.
Comments may be made after commission discussion.
Yeah.
So you guys get to comment after we do.
Right. This is just for things that really are not before us right now. But when we discuss business, we will allow anything to be said. Okay. Anyone coming forward? All right, see no one moving forward. If we look at old business, discussion of the capital improvement process. Did we move anything forward from our last meeting?
Slowly. Nothing to present tonight, though.
Okay. Any other comments from staff? Okay. Moving on to new business. New business, item A, 2025-001. Consideration of site plan review for the property located at 107 Thomas. ID number is IH0124101-004. Would we like to have Roe present anything at this time?
I can go over the report, or if you want the applicants to do a presentation, whatever you would like us to support.
Okay, well, if the applicant would like to come forward and state anything that they would like us to know, and anything that was on the row information that maybe has been addressed after the report that was sent to us.
Okay, my name is Patrick Clary of Loss Engineering. We are the engineering firm that prepared the plans. I do have some boards and easel. You should probably have a set of plans, correct? So I can, like I said, can do whatever you want. I can kind of run through the project quickly.
If you would like to,
kind of where we
you're more than
stand.
welcome to.
And then if I set up here, everyone can kind of see that or refer to your.
If we have any questions, we can always get up and take a closer look if there's something that we are truly wanting to see.
No, on TV.
So just to quickly orient, 107 Thomas Street, it's an existing building that,
Sir, would you like to grab the microphone so the minutes can actually record what you're saying, please?
okay, is this on? This is a 107 Thomas Street, existing building that I think has been vacant for a while. It has previous commercial uses. It's zoned commercial. It's next to a residence, and then there's the railroad tracks. And then there's the, I guess the stream or or drain that kind of continues on the other side of the tracks. There is an existing gravel area that goes, that pretty much goes across the entire front of the property and then continues around the side of it. A lot of it has been kind of grassed over, but there's gravel underneath. What is proposed is to pretty much keep the existing building intact. They have, changing the colors of it. I think they put some new windows in, extensive, for interior improvements, although I think the previous occupant had done a lot of improvements, from what I understand. The primary purpose of the site plan was to have the parking lot to be more compliant with the village ordinances, also address stormwater and the landscaping. The version that's in front of you here was kind of a second version that was a result of a staff meeting that was based on original concerns about circulation. physical distance from the building to the property line, and that is gonna dictate, a variance in terms of the width of the drive aisle, in particular, and then also the loading space per ordinance would be quite a bit longer than it is shown here, which would be impacting, again, the distance, or I guess, a buffer space, if you will, to the residents. So with this particular business, any loading, unloading would be like like an Amazon van or UPS type van, as opposed to like a semi-truck. So, we're requesting that be shorter. So that, the, variance application has already been submitted, and with I think the next meeting is June 2nd to review that. So we're obviously not, asking for that approval, but I guess I would assume that we'd be, if there was approval made tonight, we would continue on getting those variances. But there is, I guess the point being is that it's an existing building, existing location with physical distance to the property line that do create, some issues that don't quite follow the ordinance, but the intent is to keep to the intent of the ordinance, and that we can still get the circulation that we do need. So I guess I'll stop there and open it up for questions.
Have any questions regarding the parking lot
Be
size?
introduced to the new planner.
Pardon?
Could we be introduced to the new planner?
Would you like to
Hi.
introduce yourself?
I'm Amy Bontempo. I was here, gosh, in the fall as a fill-in, and I am the one that provided you the report this evening. So I believe you'll see me regularly.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the applicant regarding the parking area?
I do have one. I know when it used to be the laundromat, the owners always parked in the back. Is there a space back there for the owners to park back there?
Right now, we needed the back area for the stormwater management.
Okay,
So
that's
that
what I
is
just
left
wanted to
purposely
make
as
sure.
long With the depression,
I can't remember which one it
should be
was.
on one of your sheets.
Yeah,
I guess it's on, you could look at the landscape plan kind of shows this depression area here,
yeah.
and so that was dedicated towards that.
I just wanted to double check, because I know how it was when the laundromat was there, and they had, and I know it was kind of swampy.
Almost like all gravel, and so we're actually trying to, obviously, with the pavement, you're kind of increasing the impervious surface, but we're trying to keep more of this back area, get it to grass so that it accepts more stormwater, and then
Right.
also improve the front area too. So
Yeah.
the overall area, is not increased and trying to get it reduced.
Yeah, because I know that it used to be real mushy a lot of times back then.
Well, yeah, we found out, I think it came out during the review process that the water table is very, very high in this area, so that there isn't, we have limited options in terms of, again, kind of per the ordinance, or if this is I guess, a regular site, this would need to be a lot deeper to hold more, but you
Yeah.
just can't really do it.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm a little bit confused about the variance. That's not, tell me the process, please.
The requirement is 20 feet. They
I'm
only have
thinking more of the
18.
timing, us versus them.
After
Our meeting's
we,
on Monday.
yeah, the site plan would be approved on a contingency of them obtaining the variance if the variance board goes along with their request, all right? But we have to do our due diligence on everything else, saying it's okay with us for them to make a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I had a couple, and one, I guess I'm more asking the planner than the applicant. I know, and I could not find in the ordinance book regarding street side or main road loading area in front of the building. I thought, I know at least on industrial, it had to be on the side or in the rear.
were going over this, I don't remember seeing anything in the commercial
It was just limited
district.
to the industrial.
Yeah, so that's, okay, so real quick, we have met with this applicant. They had another drawing previously submitted, that was trying to really reduce the amount of, pervious area. And unfortunately, what that layout would have been, would have required more variances. And variances that, and I don't wanna speak for Jeremy, that we really weren't comfortable with in terms of like possibility of people backing into the street and things like that. So we went with the applicant and we did, talk through, and this is the best layout that we could find and come up with for such a tall, tight site, right? It's very narrow, and then having to deal with the stormwater issues as well. So the best spot that we could put the loading zone, based on the length, is in the front. They typically aren't gonna get a lot of deliveries, so you're probably not gonna see much. And they are asking for the variance to reduce the size from the 50 by 500 square feet to the 30 by 300 square feet. So they are asking for a reduction in that because they don't envision needing, you know, honestly, a semi truck's not gonna get in there right now. So that's why we propose to put it in the front there. And they do have some screening that they're proposing as well to meet the ordinance requirements that actually will do some blocking of that, as well as the screening adjacent to the neighbor that will help block as well.
So on the landscape plan, we've got street trees, some shrubs, again for ordinance, some evergreen screening, where we can have a fence in this front area here to, again, block any type of headlights or whatever from the residents.
Anybody else on that? Okay, anything else you'd like to address?
I don't, unless there's other questions, yeah.
Also, I know you were requesting a variance regarding trash refuge not having a dumpster.
Oh, correct. Yeah, that was, I guess, something that was in the, our understanding that was in the purview of the plan commission. I'm glad you brought it up.
All right, one of my concerns with that is because of the site being commercial and moving forward down the road, if this business were to ever exit the business and someone else come in there and required dumpster, all right, the only place it could be placed would be in the back area of the parking, so is that gonna be soil that is really not stable enough for a dumpster?
It would have to be on a concrete pad. They wouldn't be able to put it on the impervious surface.
Okay. Then the other item that was before us was a note in there regarding the mushiness and water retention, all right? And that part of the scope would be that the applicant is in agreeance to sign basically a letter of promise that if the basin is not adequate, that then they would move forward with putting in the proper or whatever would be needed to basically make it adequate for the retention of water.
I guess I'll defer to Lonnie Johnson to just address that. She would be the owner.
Can you hear the microphone so she can address?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Lonnie Johnson, 6854 Big Trail. I am in receipt of that letter and I do agree to those terms, so if something formal needs to be drawn up in that regard, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, so I just wanted that a matter of record. And then the other question I would have before the administration is, who would make that determination?
So we would use Rowe Engineering for that. If we found that there was a deficiency with the water or there was extreme flooding on the site, we would bring out Rowe Engineering. That would be billed back to the applicant for those costs to determine whether or not what they have is sufficient and a remedy moving forward.
just wanted to make sure there's a mechanism in place to address that, going down the road. Anything else from the commission regarding other questions that were in the plan, and/or Ro would like to get up and say anything at this time?
Yeah, so we did provide a report to the applicant as well as the planning commission. Oh, okay, so, instead of the letter that you used to receive, I did do a detailed report for you. So I guess at some point, maybe you can give me some feedback on whether or not that's helpful. As you know, it is an existing site that has sat vacant for some time, and there are some constraints in terms of the property, dealing with the width. We did find in the village records that this parcel is zoned commercial. If you were to look at your zoning map at this time, it says residential, but we did look and we found the zoning information as well as the meeting minutes from a rezoning that was done in the 90s. So it is commercial, so it is a permitted use. So we did clarify that. In terms of setback requirements, lot width requirements, et cetera, the site is conforming to the majority of those, with the exception being the side yard setback to the east. That setback is existing. It is legal non-conforming. They're not making any changes to make that setback worse, so it is permitted to remain as is. They are proposing to reuse the existing building, and the colors that they chose are some neutral colors in terms of grays and some light tan accent colors. You do have your village design standards that are within your zoning ordinance. There is a notation there that in terms of unless existing buildings do not meet the standards of this section as determined by the planning commission. So it does appear that you do have a mechanism to waive some of these by this being an existing building. The wording is a little bit off, but I think that was the intent. So I did note that some of these are being met and some are not, just based on this being an existing building. Let's see, signage, they'll be pulling separate sign permits for that, but they will be looking to utilize the existing pole sign as well as put wall signage on the building. They have added landscaping, like they said, to the front of the property that meets the streetscape requirements, as well as some landscaping adjacent to the residential neighbor next door to help with the buffer, because the fence cannot be extended beyond the foremost portion of the building. From the foremost portion of the building back along that residential property, they are proposing a fence. And there are, I believe, fences around the other property lines as well that are existing. Right, okay. Let's see, what else? Parking, they are looking for those two variances that we stated earlier, one being the size of the loading zone and a reduction of that based on the size of the property. They're also looking for a reduction in the maneuvering lane width. In order to get the parking lot in this vicinity, there is a narrower aisle width than you would normally see in a parking lot. However, if you do look within the site plan, you will see that they have tested that maneuvering ability to be able to make sure that someone could get in and out of there.
And it's just one car deep, right? It's not like you've got two, so.
Correct, yeah. I think they have 5 parking spaces, and 1 handicap space, so it's a very, very small parking lot. In terms of exterior lighting, they are proposing a light at the entrance on the street, which is required by your ordinance, and they are also proposing lighting on the building to light the parking spaces. There is not any type of overlap of intrusion into the adjacent neighborhoods that's beyond what your ordinance allows in terms of lighting. They are looking for a variance from the garbage container and a waiver for that, so that is also listed as a condition in your packet. Utilities are not changing. Again, we discussed the variances, and there is an engineering review. Within your packet, starting on page 6, are your 18 requirements for granting a site plan. and some comments related to each one of those. And then beyond those 18 requirements, there are some suggested motion conditions to include if you are inclined to grant this. And those include that the applicant secure the variances for the loading zone and the parking aisle width, that the planning commission waive the wall requirement and accept a vinyl fence, because I apologize, I missed this one. Your ordinance has some language that's a little conflicting and confusing in terms of wall or buffer strip requirements, and they're proposing that vinyl fence versus a wall. I'm not really sure that a wall would really be beneficial there. The adjacent neighbor already has a fence. There's some vegetation there that a wall would probably end up killing, which is not ideal because that also acts as a buffer. Another condition suggested is the trash enclosure waiver. The acknowledgement that it is an existing building, therefore not meeting all of the village design standards. That the applicant signed the agreement, as stated earlier, for the stormwater issues, and that the plans incorporate the comments from Doug Scott regarding the engineering on May 8th.
Okay.
If you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions for Amy? If I'm not mistaken also, I know there's a concrete walkway around the west side of the building, and the calculations used for their parking are not inclusive of that sidewalk. There is a man door on the side of that building, so I'm kind of looking at that, and reality is if there were curb stops put up there, you know, they could actually use that additional distance, you know, as part of their calculations.
Yeah, we did, Doug Scott and I did discuss using like curb blocks. Sometimes they're nice to have, and then sometimes they're a hindrance, especially for like snow plow removal and things like that. And so we didn't land on suggesting they add those.
Right, and I understand that, but I guess, in my, you know, personal opinion was, if curb blocks were put in, and if the variance would not allow because of the distance, that extra 2 feet might give them that distance and required for the curvature.
Yeah, I mean, they're utilizing that existing sidewalk.
So, just my personal.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit concerned that we wouldn't want to have them in the parking space itself. That would be conventional because that would actually make the, kind of shorten the,
Yeah.
how we can circulate there. They would need to be put on the sidewalk, which could impact maybe the circulation along there too.
Yeah.
I understand your point, but because of the tightness of it, I guess I don't, it could create some, maybe some unintended impacts.
I'm thinking of tripping.
Yes.
And, yeah,
That's
What'd
what
she say,
I
I'm
think
sorry?
it'd be more of a
Tripping?
trip
Oh.
hazard than anything.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other comments?
I might just comment, I understand why, you know, having been on this commission for several years, why we are requiring these kinds of things. I'm also going to speak for a moment as the director, as the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and just comment that this is a piece of property and a building that has been commercial for decades, even if it's been vacant. And it feels like the parking that was there was sufficient for 50 years of business. And I'm just concerned that as we start running into other properties that are similar characteristics and long histories, that we're not finding ways to really work with what was there without making such huge changes. That at this point is 6 months of work for a business that's not open yet.
If you don't mind, Mr. Kinnaman, I appreciate your comments. What triggered Ms. Lonnie and this business coming in front of this board was that it was a pervious parking lot. We could not approve a dirt or gravel parking lot per the ordinance. So she had to do site plan upgrades, which then triggered planning commission approval, and in essence, for her to meet most of, if not all, zoning requirements. If this property already had an existing parking lot, paved or concrete, it probably wouldn't be here today in front of this commission.
Well, see, this is where I have a problem, because that little, meeting space over on Elm Street, they opened up without a parking lot paved. How could they do that?
That's a great question. I'll have to look into that.
Well, it just seems like very disparate treatment.
Okay. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to note in the minutes.
Pardon me?
You might want to note in the minutes.
It's documented, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking you look at how many years did they park in the front? And, you know, that kind of change has actually probably made this even harder, you know? I see where we're at and, you know, I want to see it move forward. But my concern is that we don't become too hard for business to come here.
Okay, appreciate your comments regarding that. But again, that's why we have ordinances that are existing, and that's why we have a variance board.
Yeah.
Sherilyn?
Well, and if the ordinances aren't working for our community, then we need to start looking at the ordinances. I cannot believe that we have this is what, our second meeting of the year, and we don't ever talk about the ordinances, and they need to be something that are always being reviewed and updated. And it's these very situations that should have us going back to those ordinances and saying, does this still work? And I've been on this committee now for a year and a half, and we've never once talked about the ordinances. Not once. How can we serve our community? Number one, if we're not familiar and know what's in them and how they should be operating. Number two, when these poor people come, and 7 months, October you bought that building. It's just, help. I don't know what else to say. Instead of canceling meetings, why can't we learn about the ordinances? Okay, guess I have to put that on my list.
Well, in our minutes from February 26, 2025, under our staff comments, Chief Watson did say, "Our ordinances are very antiquated." So if they are antiquated, our commission believes they're antiquated, our staff believes they're antiquated, we need to work on them then. This is something that needs to be changed.
Stop canceling our meetings.
Well, I think there's also, we have to look at the cost of codifying ordinances and what that looks like.
No,
And the village is
there's no
operating
cost
at,
to have a conversation. I'm sorry. I'm asking for a conversation. I'm not asking for anybody to.
I'm willing to give you a conversation, but you continue to cut me off, so. $800,000 deficit, and we don't have it in the budget to do a codification of the ordinance. At any time that you feel that you find an ordinance that needs to be addressed, bring it to our attention, and we'll
Here's
definitely
one.
review it.
This one, about
And what is
parking
it?
lots.
In the windows.
What is it specifically that you would like to address on that ordinance?
I would like to know what we can do about an ordinance that says that we have to pave every part of the village. Isn't there some other impervious kind of parking or pervious parking structures, things? Couldn't we have a conversation on the last Wednesday of the month about parking in our ordinances? That's what I'd like.
Absolutely. And there is impervious surface. If you look at up in the Mill Point sub, that facility has a honeycomb.
Did anyone offer that to these people?
It's very costly.
Did anyone offer that to you? Thank you.
So it's not our job as the village to design other people's properties.
Well, if we've got ordinances that they have to abide by, then yes, it is. I'm done.
All right, with all that said, I agree that there's different things that we can look at. In Jeremy's defense, we would look at the line items, as you, like you mentioned, the parking area, all right? And by doing so, you would make recommendations, suggestions to bring forth for us to vote on, whether then to present that to council. Row engineering then would be involved with rewriting it, so that's where the costs come involved. Anyway, this is not the place and time for it at this time. But again, in regards to our staff to go over all the details and offer endless possibilities about what possibly might well be done, they don't have the time and staff power to do that, nor are they paid to do the engineering. Okay. Anything else that you would like to add to comments? Okay. At this time, if anybody in the congregation, the audience, would like to come forth and make any comments, state your name and address, and you're more than welcome to speak to anything that's pertaining to this site plan. Yes.
My name is Sally Johnson. I live at 3409 Hilltop Drive. And I would have a bunch of questions based on a lot of things I've heard here, but I'm gonna just keep it to the quilt shop. The variances that you mentioned, again, I'm not sure what that meant exactly, but what I was hopeful for was if you all approved this tonight, that she could get her doors open.
Bingo.
Because I wanted to just stress, the Michigan Shop Hop is coming up, and that will be a real boom for the downtown as well. Quilters come in packs. And I was at a quilt retreat in Holland a few weeks ago, and word's already out there, the hop is beginning June 1st. They have their catalogs. The people that knew I was from this area were asking about this quilt shop, and I couldn't answer. I couldn't tell them. I had to say it's not open yet. Also on YouTube last week, a YouTube that has quite a few followers announced she is coming to Holly for the Michigan Shop Hop. She is from Virginia. She wants to stop at that shop. She said, Holly, showed the map. So I'm hoping that even though the variances have to come up, that she's going to be allowed to get her shop open, and sooner rather than later, because the shop hop starts June 1st. And if people come and the shop isn't open, they'll leave. They've got other shops to go to. But again, it would be a great boom for our downtown area too, because they're gonna want to go down, see what downtown has to offer, dine at some of the restaurants, because our downtown is looking fabulous, I think. I'm very happy with how it is. I've lived in Holly all my life. And I'm not gonna say how long that is. But I just am hopeful that you're gonna let her open her doors, because this is really important, the Michigan Shop Hop. Word is out there, and her shop is out there. They know about it. So, for what it's worth, if you can do that a little bit, nudge, nudge, get her shop open, please.
Thank you for your comments.
drive the Michigan highways and you look at those attraction signs and you see all the food and the gas and there's attractions, quilt shops are attractions. They bring people to town. People will shop in Holly because it is cute. The shop hop is one small thing for those of us that are quilters. I go to Heartland and Ortonville and Davison at least once a week. I live here in Holly. It would be much nicer to be shopping at my own store in Holly. So I just want to encourage you to approve this and do it immediately. The driveway can be fixed. Like, that is something that has happened. A quilt shop gets deliveries from UPS. Their boxes hold bolts of fabric. They are light. They are 25 inches by like 5 inches by like, I don't know, 10 inches. They're not that big. It's UPS that delivers them. I get bolts of fabric at my own house and that's who delivers them. It's not going to be any different there. And a large garbage bin seems a little excessive for a quilt shop who mostly will need recycling. So that is all I would have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hillary Allgaier, 121 Allen Street, and I've been serving with the DDA for several years, and I feel like the quilt shop that Lonnie is bringing to us goes right in line with the DDA's vision for our town about like revitalizing these eyesore buildings and having vibrant, businesses there. I feel like it's like a win-win-win for our community because it did relieve us of, I've wondered as long as I've lived in Holly, what the heck is going on with that building? It looked the buildings just end up getting dilapidated and vacant, and she has put in a lot of hard work to, it looks great. It looks great. And not only that, but in 2023, the DDA did a market research survey, and 79 people that answered that survey asked for a quilt shop. So I feel like she came in and was like, okay, I got you. We're gonna do this, And then with this, I've been calling it the tour de quilts, but it's the shop hop. Yeah. But this is gonna benefit all of our businesses in town. And I know that you guys approve the businesses. I don't know if you ever go back and check in with them, but our businesses are struggling. And we need the traffic that this 102 quilt shop is gonna bring our community. And it'll benefit the downtown everywhere in Holly and all of our businesses. I understand that there's ordinances, and I'm a procedural person and a rule follower myself, so, but I would respectfully request that in the interest of always serving the citizens of Holly, that you'll let this lady open her shop. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am?
Sabrina Dudek, 427 Honor Road. So I just came here for my government class, but this is my first time ever hearing about this quilt shop, but this is like really cool. I'm 16 and I lived in Holly my entire life. And only recently I've been like, oh my god, Holly actually has things I'm really into. Like the little bookstore that opened, that made me so happy. And I go to Genesee County Schools, like all this stuff, but I went to my friends who live in Linden and Fenton and all that, and I'm like, guys, come with me. You have to see this with a bookstore. And with this quilt shop, like, this is so cool. This is like actually something that I'd be like, guys, come on guys, we gotta go. Like, I know it's a far drive, but come with me, come to my house, like we have to go see this quilt shop. And I'm a new driver, and I'm not great at parking, to be completely honest. You could go
We've all
get
been
a
there.
job outside, you can tell. But, honestly, with this little parking lot, I think I could do it. And that says a lot,
amazing. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
If there's nobody else from the audience, Mr. Okonowski, I did get an email from somebody who would like an email read into the record, if that's okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Its title is In Support of the Quilt Shop. Dear Village Planning Commission, I am writing with great enthusiasm in support of the new quilt shop in town. I am very anxious for this shop to open. I am a seamstress here in Holly, and I am so excited to have not only a new local business, but one that directly impacts my treasured hobbies. My understanding is the quilt shop is participating in the Michigan Shop Hop. As a sewist who has participated in the shop hop around the state, I can share with personal experience the number of people I have seen coming into small towns to hop from shop to shop. The folks who take part in these shop hops visit not only the quilt shops, but also explore the towns they visit, dining, purchasing fuel, visiting other small businesses, etc. The shop hop is good for the entire local community and its economy. Additionally, with the closure of the national chain fabric store, this new shop will keep shopping local and support small businesses right here in our community. The closest quilt shops to Holly are in Howell and Heartland. I'm looking forward to shopping at the quilt shop ASAP. Sincerely, Sue Miller, Holly.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Looking at this now. Everything's been presented to it, so is there any other staff comments commissioner comments that needs to be discussed? Okay, looking at is there irrigation plan in there for the landscape?
Believe it was, basically would be the water as needed, I think was our statement that was in the plans.
Okay, so just so that does know that your vegetation that you have planned and everything, right? Great job, by the way, on that. But it is also something that needs to be maintained. If things were to die out or whatever, you have to replace it. It isn't something you just let it die and then, oh well, just, Okay. Do we have a recommendation or a motion regarding this?
I want to make sure we've got all of the parts here.
It's all right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and making sure, before I start talking, that I've got them all kind of outlined here. I make the motion to approve the site plan for the Holly Quilt Shop located at 107 Thomas Street, job ID 25-020, which is also, where's our lot number? Oh, there it goes. I couldn't find that sheet in the middle of all this. Property ID IH0124101004, with the following conditions as part of the motion for approval. That the applicant secures the variances for the loading zone size and the parking lot aisle width. That the planning commission waives the 5-foot wall requirements and accepts a 5-foot vinyl fence. That we also waive the required trash enclosure standards, and that we acknowledge the proposal conforms to the majority of the village design standards, majority, to apply to a commercial zoning location. And the applicant will sign an agreement acknowledging that additional stormwater measures could be required if the measures approved as part of the site plan are not sufficient. And the plans be reviewed prior to construction to incorporate the comments on the letter dated May 8th, 2025 by Doug Scott of Rowe Professional Services.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Cascola,
Yes.
Campbell, Lacy,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Everly,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Christian, Okowski.
Yes. All right, so you have your preliminary approval regarding the application and site plan review. However, you do need to obtain the variance in order to move forward. So, with that said, thank you very much. And just for a matter of record, I wanted on the minutes that Ms. Campbell left early for personal reasons.
Yes. So it's 6:33.
Thank you.
Sellers?
That's,
Go.
I think
it's
it's done.
Sherwin's.
Sherwin's, Miss Everly's.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 10 in the agenda, training. There's nothing underneath that action item. All right, going on to reports. ZBA, I don't believe we have any VAs on there. Okay. DDA, any comments for that direction?
DDA did meet, and they have the new business, 2 new business items were postponed until the attorney looks at the language for them. They're having the election of the officers in the June meeting, and there was a little bit of discussion from some of the people that there was some issues with the Battle Alley for the Holly Hotel. Even though it's up for sale, that they should still make sure that it's maintained around there and cleaned. And then also, they mentioned about on May 31st, this Saturday, there is a plant swap in Crapo Park, and I am not sure what exact time it is.
Said 9 o'clock on the sign.
Oh, okay, 9 o'clock, okay. So that was it.
Thank you. All right, council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yesterday, there was a dam meeting I was not able to attend. It was a council meeting, it was just a public meeting. But essentially, watching the video, it can be expensive to fix no matter what we do. So that will be interesting. Tomorrow night, there's a special assessment meeting, so I would encourage everyone to come out to that. The short of it is, the village doesn't have money, as Chief Watson indicated earlier. And I believe the proposal that is going to become a public meeting will be 5-year special assessment at 4.75 mils. So that would be just for the entire village, and then for police services.
And fire.
And fire.
And fire.
And fire.
I never forget about you, so I'm sorry about that. And just touching on what Ms. Everly brought up earlier, I know talking with Mr. Price, our village manager, he has made it a point to talk about training, and we've talked previously about bringing people in, so if there's nothing on the agenda, that's something that he is very interested in doing. So hopefully that can happen. There hasn't been any promises or anything like that made, but it does sound like something he is interested in exploring and trying to figure out how we can make sure we're doing our job right.
Good.
That's it.
Unfortunately, I will not be able to be at the meeting tomorrow. Maybe you can answer a question prior to the meeting. You talked about a 5-year or so assessment for the special assessment, I guess you wanna call it. If that's for the police and fire, okay? And is this just for equipment or personnel?
Yes.
or what?
It's, we have the,
Here he comes to the microphone, there we go.
I didn't mean to take anything away from the meeting.
I'll do the village manager comments too, right now for it. So,
Because, you know,
yeah.
obviously that's ongoing costs versus, you
So-
know, what's coming out of the general fund now.
So it's,
versus-
a special assessment under Public Act 33, which would be an ad valorem, and so it's for police and fire services. So it's not just for equipment, it's for police and fire services. And really what we're doing with that is using that because as we mentioned, and actually I was just finishing up a budget document that council asked me to write as kind of more of an informative document to inform the community. If you didn't have the chance to watch our budget work sessions on April 26th, May 3rd, I know you want to watch 6 hours of us talking about the budget, but they're on YouTube, you can watch them. But the first hour, we kind of talk about like the situation we're in, how we got here, and the deficit that we're at. The deficit, a lot of it, I'm not going to go into the full thing. If you want to watch it, you can watch it. I'll have a PDF, cheat sheet for everyone too pretty soon. But it's really in my opinion, and I think if you look at the past audits and all the things we've worked on, it's a revenue problem, not an expenditure problem. And that's due to that our millage has not been adjusted since 1982. So for 43 years, we have not, in 1982 we established that this is the amount that we need to pay in order to maintain our village. And because of Headley rollbacks and Proposal A, which passed in 1994, we have not been able to roll back our millage rate in order to do our services. And so because of that, essentially since 2017, the village has ran at a deficit, and quite a big deficit, to cover our services. And we're going to use this, we're hoping to use, if it gets passed, this Public Act 33 special assessment in order to, in the short term, until we determine a long-term solution, we're working on those right now, to cover that deficit. And because our two biggest expenses are our police services, which is about $1.7 million, and our fire services, which is about $900,000. And I know that sounds like a lot, but if we look at like Springfield Charter Township, who has a similar setup as us, they contract out 9 officers from Oakland County to do it. $3.8 million is how much they're going to pay. And like our officers are there within a few minutes if you need something. The fire department, if you live out in the township, you pay 4 mills for NACFA, and that equates to about $1.2 million of what they're paying for that service, and our officers are there. And not only that, but he also brings us back about $220,000 of cost recovery. So like we are living lean, and we're trying to do as much as we can on the budget we have, but honestly, it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't been enough for what we need to do. All our budget documents are out there. I'm showing you my checkbook, trying to be as transparent as possible, and I'll continue to do so tomorrow and in the future, and I'm willing to have any kind of discussions on that. I also wanted to talk about what Sherilyn had mentioned earlier, if that's all right as well. So small staff. I mean, the person that's the liaison for this is our fire chief. We contract out our planning services, and I'm basically a one-man shop as far as the village manager type work. So our eyes and ears for a lot of this ordinance stuff is the planning commission. So when you see issues with the ordinances that need to be updated, make a note. And then, like I said, I would recommend, especially like as we are going through this, quarterly, maybe every 6 months we get together and we talk about those and see what ordinances need to be updated. And then we start working on those and, get Amy involved and say, what needs to happen to bring this to council in order to make updates to modernize? Because, we've seen a lot of issues. Even, she's been helping us out. She's a tremendous asset, and I'm really glad that she's on board with us. So that's all I have to say. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
so did that answer your question, all of that?
Yeah, short and sweet. Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Park Commission, I believe, we had anything there?
So we already talked about it,
Just
the plant sale.
Yeah, but, okay.
Plant sale, fireworks are July 3rd instead of the 4th.
On the 3rd, you said?
I'm sorry.
Third, yeah.
The fireworks are on the 3rd of July instead of the 4th of July this year, and next year they will also be on the 3rd. This Park Commission has put that out there.
All right, moving on to commissioner and staff comments. Angela?
I don't have anything further, thank you.
Nothing.
Nothing? Richard?
I'll talk on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce just for a moment again. We have our first big event for the season, summer season coming before our next meeting. Saturday, June 21st will be our food truck rally and concert up at Holly Foods.
June 21st?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, about 4 weeks from today, or this past weekend. And we are shifting just a little bit because one of the items that came before us not too long ago was the Scooters Coffee Shop. They're supposed to begin construction soon, and so the fireworks tent will be where our food truck rally was. And so we are claiming the old lawn and garden section.
Okay.
I think it could work pretty good. I've talked with Hillary about some possible volunteers to help clean it up a little bit. And so the band that is coming, you will want to come and hear this band. It is the Stardusters. They are a 20-plus piece big band, swing style band.
Holy cow.
If you know Suzanne Heipel, her husband David is in that band.
Oh, okay.
And so they have been named Band of the Year through a couple of things, Battle of the Band stuff in Clarkston for a couple of years. So bring your dancing shoes and your hunger for food trucks. So
And your chairs, if you want to sit. Chairs.
yes, and bring your own
Yeah,
lawn chairs to sit. Yep. Thank you.
Sorry.
I don't have anything more. Thank you.
Jim?
So, American Legion, we have a check now in hand from our insurance company after all this time. You can believe that.
It looks so good.
So they, ServPro actually has been fronting some of the money for us without even being paid. So that was very nice of them to actually do that. There were some delays, and we're thankful to have a check in hand. One item for today, it was mentioned about dilapidated buildings and coming into town, and I think the way I look at it is our job is to make sure the dilapidated buildings get improved upon. So I think there is some instances where we can say, yes, we can put up a variance to that. No, we can't. And I think that the stuff we can't, we just need to stick to and then make sure we elevate our community up for our kids and neighbors. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Staff?
Thank you.
I'd just like to welcome Amy. I apologize for not introducing her previously. I've been working with her since February, so I'm kind of used to that, but I do apologize. Alex was a great resource, but I'm excited at what Amy has to offer. So with that, we are working on capital improvement. We are looking at the ordinances, codification, and as I promise year after year, RRC is a resource that we're desperately going to lean on for some of those improvements with ordinances and codifications. So more to come with that.
Welcome, Amy. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the challenge. I guess some questions I have regarding the property on the corner of Saginaw and Rosette. Premier Paving, I think is one of their names, and they have another business name out there also.
The big one.
Right, where the tank plant used to be. That property is commercial?
Industrial.
It is industrial.
Yes, sir.
That even makes it worse. Anyway. They are using a parking area which is not enclosed with all their equipment on the street side of Rosette and next to the railroad tracks. They've been having equipment out there for a long time, ever since they've been in the building. And you have your residential area right across the railroad tracks. And there's no barriers whatsoever for them parking equipment out there. No fencing, no nothing. So I'd like to look into that for us. Then I have questions regarding, not growth facility, the marijuana facility that is still in limbo.
It's actually at the county level.
Okay, but that seems like it's been there forever.
No, it had to go back for the drain connection at Dollar General parking lot, and then had to get approved with some easement regulations. I can tell you, all the easements are signed, but the fire department, we're just waiting for that to be signed by administration, and we should see some deliveries really quickly. They're chomping at the bit, they're excited, they're ready to go. The Drain Commission at Oakland County has probably postponed them 6 heavy months. But I can tell you, we've been in contact at least every other week, if not more, on progress and trying to expedite this project.
Okay. All right, we're in staff and commissioner comments. You're last one left.
I am so sorry I had to leave. Segment 2 driver, second session, we got 2 days. So I apologize for all that. I hope it passed and everyone was okay. Did we pass? Did we pass it? Because I was gonna vote yes, because
Oh, we needed
it was beautiful. Your shops are awesome.
It
I've
was
seen the outside of it. I just drove
close, boy.
past it. It looks so much better than this all ugly picture, so, yeah, that's very good. And no, nothing else. Right?
Alright.
I'm sorry, again, I'm so sorry for disrupting and coming back, but I thought I should come back,
Last
just in
item
case.
last item is public comments again. Anything that's been discussed, do you have any questions about? You're more than welcome to speak again, or anything else that may be on your mind. No one moving forward, let's adjourn the meeting.
Time for that. And who's not covered this yet?
Do you want your shot back?
That's Cheryl Liz.
Leave with that one.
Sorry for